Well, thanks for joining us on BloombergQuint. Joining me is ANANTH, Narayanan, former CEO of Myntra, co-founder and former CEO of MedLife, which was later acquired by PharmEasy. And now he's on to his new journey, perhaps to do to some extent what he was doing at Myntra as well, building brands with his new venture, MENSA'S brands, which also loosely to some extent follows the model of THRASIO in the US. And we're seeing a lot of buzz happening. We'll be talking to him to get what led to this idea. Ananth, thanks again for joining us today and speaking to BloombergQuint.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me about what you are trying to do with Mensa brands and what led to the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, very excited about Mensa. Mensa incidentally means constellation. So we're trying to build a constellation of stars, which hopefully are the brands that we actually work with and partner with. The idea is simple. India is actually, e-commerce is going to continue to explode over the next 10 years. Second, India is moving more and more into branded stuff across almost all categories. The goal of Mensa is, can we build a technology-led house of brands that's ready for the e-commerce age, that we build from India, but for the globe, right? What we want to do is to acquire about 50 brands over the next 3 years. And we want to sort of then build the product and technology and the operations expertise required to scale them, not just in India, but just even globally. So there are 3 parts to what we are trying to do. There's, of course, an acquisition engine. And I call these acquisitions more partnerships because, especially in India, the way we want to work is, while we get majority and have a path to ownership, we want to very much work with founders and entrepreneurs very closely in a partnership model to grow and scale and make their business a household name. Second is, there's an operating system we're trying to build, which is product and technology led, which says, how do you scale that business? How do you get digital brand growth in a box, right? And then, of course, there's a financing engine, which says, what's the right level of debt, equity, etc., that we need in order to scale the business. So that's what we're trying to do, and very excited by it.
And building brands and scaling them up is nothing new for you, right? You have done in the past as well, and not exactly in the same domain. So that's one. And then also, how long it took you to come with this idea? How long you have been working on it? Tell us what went behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So look, I've been a big fan of brands from the Myntra days, right? Yes. Because we created the brand accelerator program, which of course the team has taken forward and scaled to greater heights. And even in MedLife, by the way, while it wasn't fashion brands, we had lots of nutraceutical brands that work with us and so on. So I've always been a big believer in brands. And I believe that modern age brands need to be built differently, because the brand itself gets established digitally. So that's very different. So I've been thinking about this idea for a long time. We sort of got going on it for the last, I would say, 2.5, 3 months now. And we've sort of been quite fortunate. We have a great set of investors. ACCEL, FALCON and NORWEST are all investors. We have a great clutch of angels as well who've come together. And then, of course, we have our debt partners, Altiria and Innoven as well, who've come together. So it's a good group. So yeah, it's been about 2-3 months. I've always believed in it. And I spoke to about 40-50 brand owners as I was thinking about this idea, right? And all of them consistently told me the same thing, which is, they're great product people, but they struggle with technology, digital marketing, right? They're unable to raise working capital and equity at the right time, because private equity and venture capital goes to the top 2 players, not to necessarily players 3 to 10. And third is, by the way, even what to do, how to make all of that, right, is technology led in the new world, right? Where do you make inventory? Where do you store it? All of that, I don't think there's a tech DNA. So they're saying, look, we're great, terrific product people. We've brought it to a certain stage. How do we now partner up to scale this and make a brand a household name? Hopefully not just in India, but even globally.
What kind of brands are you looking at? And what kind of exposure, or are you expecting them to be at certain scale at this point of time that you'll be targeting at, so that you can take it to another level?
Absolutely. So we're looking at a few categories. We're looking at home as a category. It's an interesting category. So both soft furnishing, garden, home decor. We're looking at personal care and beauty. And we're looking at certain parts of apparel, right? Are the initial set of categories that we're looking at. And I think that can continue to grow and scale. The commonality in all of these is we're looking for brands between $1 million and $10 million in revenue. So 7 to 70 crores in revenue. We need them to be profitable. I think this is not a cash burn business. We're trying to sort of figure out how to make this a sustainable tech startup. I think, Nishant, we have spoken about this before, right? And I genuinely believe that the age for sustainable startups is here and now. So I think we want to build this in that manner. And we're looking for brands that are in every category, have lots of customer love, right? So our criteria is simple. Customer love measured quantitatively. Outstanding founders, number 2. And third is a set of financials. It's in that order, right? And if you find all 3, hopefully please reach out to us because, we are the right partners for you, right, to scale this brand.
Right. And also, in this space, already the competition is there. The money is coming in. You have raised $50 million, and we have a slew of players already eyeing that domain. And that has happened in the last 1.5 years.
Right.
How do you aim to separate yourself to create your own niche? And what does the competition means to you?
So I don't really think, you've talked to me about competition in my prior life as well. I don't really believe in this. So just let me give you a sense of the scale of the market, just so you have a sense. There are north of 4,000 brands between 7 and 70 crores in the categories that I mentioned across Amazon and Flipkart, which are primarily online. If you take offline brands with online presence, that number doubles, right? I'm talking only about primarily online brands. That number will go to 12,000 in 4 years if it follows the same rate of growth as e-commerce, right? We are hoping to buy 50 brands in 3 years, right? So just to give you a sense of the scale, right? So I think it's not a winner takes all market. I think it's something where you can actually build scale and build it sustainably. And that's, by the way, only the India market. And if you now take the global market, Nishant, then the number becomes enormous, right? In terms of what you would actually go. And we are very excited. I, by the way, genuinely believe, apart from all the business stuff, right? I fundamentally, one of the things that excites me the most about this is, can we get a clutch of these brands to become truly global? It hasn't happened before. And I think, well, some have happened, but I think there's an opportunity to take it and do it very, very differently.
And what learnings can you bring in from what's happening in the global market? THRASIO is a one big example. $3 billion business.
Right.
They've raised about $1.8 billion. What kind of opportunity you see they have expanded and what we can do it in India?
Yeah. So I would say there are some key differences in the India market, and I'd like to just point them out. Firstly, by the way, I think THRASIO, Perch, Branded have all built outstanding businesses, right? And the US market is very large, so it can support large multi-billion-dollar players, which I think the Indian market can as well, given the growth rates. One is, in India, it's important, there are always going to be multiple platforms. There is always going to be Flipkart, Myntra, there's always going to be Amazon, there's always going to be Nykaa, there's always going to be AJIO, right? I think it's a multiplayer market. Therefore, as you think about it, platform neutrality, and by the way, being able to integrate technology-wise across all these players is going to be important. Second, I think India is a sourcing hub, unlike the US. So here, there's an opportunity to take the brands global, right? Because you actually have a cost advantage. So I think that's the second big delta. Third is, I genuinely believe with founders in India, it's a partnership because almost everybody is emotionally attached to the brand. So it's not a transaction. It's something that you'll have to sort of live with the founder for the next 2 to 4 years. And for us, the other big differentiator is therefore founder partnerships matter.
Right. What about any brands that you have already reached out to you, part of your expansion portfolio?
No, not yet. Hopefully you'll have me again and we can talk a little bit about the brands that we acquired in a month or two.